Welcome to Wargamer Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. We are going to build the single-story Western 1 building from Minor Creations. This is the MDF terrain that we talked about in the last video. And we're just going to kind of go through how one would build them and why you might build them that way. So we've already popped everything out of the frame, so to speak. So this is basically what you get as far as the buildings are concerned. You've got your base plate, your sort of front facade, your sides, and your back, as well as other stuff. We've got our carpenter's glue. You could use Elmer's glue. You could use, if you had like a thick super glue, I guess you could use that, although I probably recommend using like a wood glue or carpenter's glue, just because it's going to basically permanently bond it and it'll fill gaps nicely. So this is kind of the stuff you want. Alrighty, so we're gonna pop that guy off. And our very first step, we've got this little piece here. There we go. So it's got a little hole in it. You'll notice that on our base plate here, we also have another little hole. Now the reason why that is because they line up. So if you stick this piece in the back here, like so, we'll glue it down in a second. And take our little door, facing the wood grain panel on the on the outside, of course, or on the inside, I guess. Slot it into the little hole there. Slot it into the hole down there. I got it. Okay, there we go. Come on. There we go. All right. You'll notice that the door then works. So you can open and close the door. So what we'll do is we will glue these parts down first. And of course, if you wanted to just glue the door on, you can, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to make it at least a little bit modular. Probably in the corner there, not so much on the edges. And this is, what were the dimensions of this building? What were the dimensions of this building?
I believe that one is 4 inches by 6 inches.
Alrighty, so that's a good sized building, even for like a what would be considered a kind of a smaller building, as far as Malifaux goes, anyway.
Yeah.
Or any Western game, really. I mean, I only speak for Malifaux because that's one that I know.
That's it. Anything smaller, you might as well just play it as impassable terrain.
Yeah. Sense. Okay, and then what we'll do is we probably want to put our glue on the sort of the edges of the tab here, because that's what's going to come in contact with our base pieces, not so much on the bottom. Although if you get some glue there, it can be removed. It's not that big a deal. And you don't need a huge amount of glue, just enough to kind of do the job. And I'm probably using too much, but this will prove that if I can do it, anyone can do it. So again, we've got glue on kind of all of the places that would contact the base plate. And we want to slot the door in. Again, we don't want to glue it down, probably. There we go. Now we've got our side plates and our back plate. One kind of design feature that was pointed out to me is we've got these little kick plates, and these go on the outside of the building. I guess it is actually a historical thing, so that's pretty sweet. And this one must go here. Yeah, that makes sense. My dog's like, I want attention. Alright, and try and spread out some of the glue I put on already. Alrighty. So you could just even it out with your finger a little bit.
Paper towel's not it.
I don't need no paper towel. Yes, it's a good idea. Alright, so we got that one. I guess we'll put on the other side first. And we're going to just repeat the process on the other side. Again, you want to think about where the wood contacts the other piece.
Then you can see with the limited number of tabs on that was designed for ease of building.
Yes, so even people like Steve can build them. I actually haven't built a whole lot of MDF kits, so if you're a beginner, this is a perfectly good kit for you. Then we've got our back plate. It's going to stick on the back. Go figure. You could glue inside here. I'm going to glue on this plate because this is still drying, so I don't want to mess up with our bonds yet.
Even just that inside section you're doing, there's going to be plenty of glue to hold it into place.
I guess
You
it's...
don't even have to worry about the tabs. So
Don't think so?
You probably want to do the bottom though.
Yeah, I was just thinking about...
But yeah. Just keeps it from sliding around.
I just spread it out a little bit with my finger because I'm not worried about getting a little glue on my finger.
Yeah, I never usually am either.
Alrighty, so... There we go. Back plate's on. And already it's actually fairly solid. Like, this is obviously not glued down basically at all. And it's holding together quite well. Like, the fits are nice. They're not too tough and they're not too loose, so it's actually very handy. Now, you could glue the top on, but you don't have to, because it can just sit there nicely, and that's perfectly fine. Obviously, your benefits of not gluing the top on, and the reason why you might keep the door loose, is that if you want to have access to the interior, you probably don't want to glue the top on, because it'd be hard to use. So do I want to glue the top on? No, probably not. I like how it kind of fits there, so I'm not going to glue the top on. But again, you could if you
The
want to.
notch is designed so that it actually can hold it in place during play, so that you don't actually need to do so.
Yeah. Now this part's really cool actually. So we've got these two keyed parts here. One is smaller than the other, and they go and stack on top of each other. The idea with this is that when we put it into this top part here, you get kind of a tiered stepping sort of effect. So we can glue these down, although I guess we could just glue them into there. Probably doesn't matter a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to put just a little dab of glue there though. There we go. Kind of like that. It's a little tiered step kind of idea. And we will put a little bit of glue in. That is a lot of glue. That's not what I want.
There.
Oh, no, you're right.
So
Yeah.
just where you got it in the center is probably plenty. The outside you could do as well too, but you really don't need to. It's just because there's no weight or anything being put on.
Yeah, it's
that.
not. It's just
not
decorative.
structural. It's just decorative, so it's just a little bit of glue.
Yeah. So again, think about where the glue is meant to bond, not just pasted everywhere. I don't know. That's fine. So slot this up here. I guess there would be some wisdom to putting the stuff on the sort of facade of the building first, but I think this is working out alright. Okay, so that's up there. Now we've got these parts here. So the way I understand these, you can have a couple of options. You're going to have two small pieces, two slightly bigger pieces, and then two longer pieces. The small pieces are going to, the medium pieces are going to have a diagonal kind of cut there. And the idea with that is if you glue the small piece to the diagonal piece, you have a pillar to put on the corners here. And there are little square marks where you're supposed to do that. You can either put them, depending on what you like. If you like more of the red color, you can put them sort of red on the outside, or the sort of wood grain color on the outside. Just depends on what you like. It doesn't really matter. That being said, you want to make sure that they're opposite. So the idea is you have the slope. There we go. The slope of the cut here is going to face
The outside.
the outside.
The other way around.
No, I know. But what I'm trying to get at is you want the smallest end to be furthest away. And the reason why that is because once we put the roof section in, it's just going to sit on top there, and you're going to have a bit of a gradient. Or a little bit of a slope, I guess, would be the right word. Now, I like the red one, so we're going to do red. Red on the outside. It's an interesting design choice because you have the option, sort of color-wise, to play with it a little bit.
That was actually kind of a nice unintentional side effect of it. The idea was that their posts would be normally a 4x4 post, which would actually be thicker, and the best way to represent that is going double thick.
That makes sense. So because we've got the color on one side, it just kind of naturally happens that way?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got one post. The other post needs to be opposite of this post, because this larger piece right here is going to sit on top, again in a 4x4 fashion. It's going to sit on top of the insides of these two half posts. So I'm going to just make sure that you don't glue two to be exactly the same unless you want kind of a weird funky color scheme. And it's shush. Now, you could wait until these are fully dry to stick them in, and that would probably work out nicely. But if you guys are anything like I am, and you probably are, we don't have patience for that, so we're not going to.
Now, in that case, wasn't there sandwiched right up against each other? You could have used super glue for that part
That
for
would,
quick drying.
that would make sense. That's what I should have done.
It's alright.
But
To be honest, I have the same amount of patience you do, so when all of these were assembled very similar to this video.
now,
So this, the shorter one is to be at the front so that when you slope, it follows the slope down, so that this one's shorter because obviously the angle.
okay, so it's
they-
going to
they
end up going like
sandwich.
that.
So they actually end up like so in between.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're using the sort of the difference in width of the...
The difference in heights, yes.
There we go. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, these are actually not exactly the same width. One of them is slightly smaller than the other, and it's to just help with that sloping kind of thing with the roof piece. So we're going to glue... again, I like the red, so we're gluing the red on the outside, but it doesn't really matter. But you want one to be slightly taller than the other. Which will work out nicely, because one is actually slightly taller than the other.
Yeah, it's like if you could
You don't have a
find
choice.
some way of making one taller, that would be interesting.
You just don't want to glue it like perfectly in the middle, is
Yes.
basically the thing.
Yeah.
And we want to be short up on the ends as well. Although, to be fair, this particular piece you're not going to see much of, so how badly somebody could possibly screw it up is probably not that great.
Agreed.
So we're going to sit this kind of on top of our two posts once we glue them in. And we'll do that now so you have a better idea. Okay, just a little dollop of glue on the bottom. And again, we want the long side out on the outside and the slope to work with us as far as the roof section is going to go. And we just glue them into the little square peg there, which is conveniently designed for that purpose, and that purpose alone. Then again, opposite one on this side. Nice that it actually perfectly fits, because there's not that much depth to the little square thing, but it does. There's just enough that it keys it nicely. And so we got this part, and we're gonna glue on a little bit on the bottom and on the end. That's too much glue. They're actually quite easy to build. And not being perfect with it is probably okay. Again, it's... So... So we're just going to leave that there like that. You can see that these slope pieces in the end and our little tiered step thing for the long beam kind of makes sense. So this way, when we do put the roof on, it just sits like that. And we can glue this in as well, but I do kind of... screw it, we'll glue it now. I think I might let it dry first, which is maybe what I'd normally do, but... I suspect you don't actually need to put glue on these parts, but we're doing it anyway. And then just a little dollop of glue there. There we go. So, at this point, our building is built. We have 3 options. We can have it be a general store. You can have it be a bank. Or you can have it be an assayer. That's what we're going to use. Now, if you put this in... Yeah, let's try that. You could probably mark off. You could measure and mark off where you exactly want it. Which would make sense if you want it to be perfect. And there's wisdom to that, but I'm just going to use little slats on this, on the wood texture to kind of guide me, and I'm going to just eyeball it. So,
and wood glue takes a while to dry, so if you're actually not happy with it once you put it on, you can adjust it a little bit while it is doing its magic.
So for those of you that are doing it my way, I put too much wood glue on. Also, that's going to give you about 3.5 slats on either side. So, it's not that hard to line up. I'm just going to hold it here for a moment because I think that it'll slide down a little bit if I don't. Your carpenter's glue or wood glue doesn't need a lot of time to set, but it needs a little bit of time, so... That is my dog, he wants in. There we go. So, that is our building, and that's all it took to build it. Like, we're sub 20 minutes from having cut the thing out. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you want to get one of these buildings, they're 20 bucks Canadian, which is basically $1.75 US, from minercreations.com, M-I-N-E-R creations.com, and I'll have a link in the description below so you can kind of get in contact with Dan and get yourself some inexpensive but quality buildings, because that's... Yeah. That's the kind of the goal. Like anybody looking at these, like MDF sorts of buildings in general, you want to get something that's going to last you a while, not terribly difficult to build, and not terribly expensive. So I think it nails all of the criteria. I'm gonna have to hold this on for a while. I might rubber band this part because I put too much glue on the back, but that's my fault, not the building's fault. So thanks for watching, and check out the next one.